everyone. We are here with For What It's Worth Coaching Podcast on episode 19. And today we're going to be talking about leading by example. I'm Coach Tighe, and I'm here with
Coach Hines.
And when you talk about that, Coach, what do you mean?
Well, it's funny. Anyone that's watched any of our podcasts before, we do, I don't know if it's pride ourselves, but we like to just kind of go off the cuff. Mm-hmm. So Coach came over to my house 20 minutes ago or so.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you thought of anything? He's like, nope. You? I'm like, nope. But can you lift up your knee there, old man?
Just a little bit.
So you can see the stitches there. Coach Tighe just had his second or third?
Second.
17th knee surgery.
Yeah.
I've had shoulder and bicep surgery and 2 knee surgeries. But one of the reasons I asked you, why the knee surgery? And Coach had shared something with me that I thought that's a great topic just to talk about. And it's leading by example from the physical fitness portion of it. Mm-hmm. You had mentioned to me you wanted to have the ability to still show your catchers how to get down in a stance.
Definitely.
To still run with your players, run with your sons, mm-hmm. and do some stuff. And I know that's important to me as a coach, as a father and a grandfather. When you think about coaches you've had over the years, you think about, and we're just going to focus today on physical fitness.
Right.
Because when it comes to leading by example, there's so many different umbrellas that can, fall under. Mm-hmm. What were the coaches like that you played for in high school or college or growing up?
I think when I played in high school baseball, and I didn't think really get into physical fitness as much. Guys that are really motivated. Back then we didn't go to the gym at the school and work out, which we probably could have, but it really wasn't pushed upon. I know there were guys that probably had dads or moms who were into professional sports and got the special training on the side. I didn't really start doing physical fitness until I joined the Navy.
Really?
Yes.
Right. And you can't see it on camera, but he's jacked.
No, I'm not jacked at all. I just wear my fat well.
I might have to steal that. I love that.
But when I joined the Navy, I started playing a lot of different sports, and in order to get better, you really had to, and it also had physical requirements to do every 6 months with the Navy, and I wanted to do well, but I didn't really see the benefits until I started doing it myself. I played volleyball all the time. I played baseball on the weekends. I played on a semi-pro team. I tried out for teams, but when I was a little older, I understood the necessity of being physically fit, not only strength-wise, but also cardiovascular. Your cardio needs to be up. I can't speak, but that's when I really noticed it, and then that's why I preach a lot now. With a lot of high school students, the necessity of working out on your own too.
And one of the things that we're going to touch on is not just preaching about it, because I think every coach, every sport, at every level preaches about certain things.
Yes.
But really living it. For me, I started working out, man, as far back as I could, when Rocky hit the movie theaters.
This guy loves Rocky.
I am a Rocky aficionado,
something like that.
Love Rocky. I remember asking my parents for a weight set and working out in the garage all the time. And I had the heavy bag and speed bag and the weights. And for me in high school, it was stressed to us as players that you were in the weight room. Mm-hmm. And I love my coaches, but I remember our weight room in high school had double doors that opened up to the cafeteria. So our coaches would open the weight room and say, "Go lift." And it was a free for all. None of us knew what we were doing. We knew the beach muscles, chest, buys. Mm-hmm. Every so often hit some triceps.
Yep.
But our coaches would sit outside the weight room in the cafeteria and eat their donuts, drink their coffee. And I had coaches in high school I loved. They were great men, knew the game, loved the players. But aside from 2 of our coaches I can remember, our head coach who played linebacker at the University of Rhode Island. He also swam, had a big barrel chest, and one of our receiver coaches and defensive back coaches, who was the same guy, who was very lean, very kind of a marathon runner physique. Some of the other coaches I had who I loved were just massive men.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're not amazing men. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean they don't have great hearts. Just great coaches. But I remember sometimes running in high school, doing sprints, and being yelled at the loudest by coaches who I thought, man, you can't tie your shoes. Like you can't reach that far down. And I would have never said anything because I love those coaches. Still to this day, just great people. But there's some power that comes with not just being able to tell someone what to do, but to take care of yourselves in a way where the players know that you've been there, done that, and can still do it.
Definitely.
To a certain extent.
Definitely. I think we actually talked about something like this in one of our past episodes, but not like in depth like we are right now. But there's something to be said with a player that actually sees their coach, like myself, get down in a catcher's position, receive the ball, and throw a dart to second base.
Yes.
And you getting down.
I can get down in a catcher position.
Yeah.
I just can't
get back up, right?
I just have to roll over and slowly get back up.
Oh, man. But and I've seen it.
Yeah.
But, like you, teaching the block, you can teach these kids how to block and get down, and then also being in the weight room. If you go, and I remember when I coached that one year with you, the kids were benching, and I bet a kid $1 that I could get 225 up more than he could, and I did.
Yep.
I didn't get the dollar or anything like that, but it goes to show, it's like, okay, it's one of those things is you can't just go off words. You have to put it into action.
Yes.
It's what's that old saying where actions speak louder than words?
Yep.
And your actions, hey, I mean, this is important because it will help you do this.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point. I think sometimes, now that I've coached high school football, for 22 years, you go into, you meet younger coaches, baseball, football, basketball, and every so often I have coaches on our staff that will braggadociously talk about how they're faster than other players are stronger. That doesn't matter, and our point is not saying we're the fastest, which we're not. And we don't want to be the strongest. If I'm the strongest guy in the weight room, our team's not going to win many games.
Right.
I might fill out the shirt pretty well come game day, but that's irrelevant. But it's getting down and showing a player how to properly clean, how to do deadlifts, how to squat safely, and all those different things. And there's going to come a day, whether it's too many knee surgeries or, God willing, when we're in our 70s or 80s, when the body just doesn't function that way anymore.
Definitely.
But I think it's important that for as long as we're able to, and God willing, we have the physical strength to move our bodies in a certain way, it's important to push ourselves.
Definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well, you got to listen to your bodies too. Definitely got to listen. Like I know with my knee, and I know there's a lot of people out there, especially baseball players, that have soreness in they got to understand the difference of being sore and being hurt.
Yes.
And us as coaches, we got to be able to define it because they don't know. And sometimes at home, they're pushing them a little too hard. And we need to be able to say, okay, no, this is time. I remember I had a catcher who was pretty sick. And great kid, like having him on the team. But for a while there, he was getting lightheaded and sick while he was catching. And it was heat, so I figured he was dehydrated. So I took him out of the game, and I was like, man, this is not right. So I talked to his parents and told him, hey, you guys need to get him hydrated. It happened again the next game. I took him out, and I was like, man, I can't have this, not because of the game, but because I have a kid passing out.
Right.
They ended up taking him to the doctor, and they couldn't find anything, and they brought him back. Doctor cleared him. He did it again. And I said, you know what? I told his parents, I was like, I'm not going to put him back into a game at all until something happens because this is too dangerous.
Right.
Not only for him, well, especially for him, but as far as the game period. And they brought him in. He ended up having some growths around his brainstem. Wow. And he had to get it surgically removed, and so he was out the rest of the season. Great catcher, great kid, and I'm not going to take a lot of credit. A lot of credit goes to his parents actually bringing him to the doctor and pushing the issue. But it was nice, being part of a solution for the game. Now he plays. Well,
and I know you're saying that in all sincerity and humility, but the fact is there are way too many coaches who don't care about the young men.
Definitely.
Or young women, and will justify and say, yeah, it was a really close game. Yep. Or he's our best player, or she's our best player.
And that goes back to just being a coach.
Yes. Yeah, that was last episode.
If
you haven't listened to it,
check it out.
Just go wherever it is. Go back and check it out. I also think, I actually hadn't been working out that much with this whole, we're still, depending on when you're watching this, it's September 2nd today. So we're still kind of dealing with COVID, or not kind of, we're dealing with COVID. And I hadn't been to the gym for a long time. Went to the high school yesterday and got a good workout in. And at one point, I was just sweating bullets, ready to lose my lunch. And it was a great feeling.
It is,
and
isn't
it
it?
finally hit me. It was, once again, we want to make sure that when we're pushing our players and telling them to push through it, and we're going to talk about mental leadership and leading by mental, the mental part of it, the capacity, on next episode. But there's a lot to be said about when coaches and players know that you push yourselves as hard as well.
Definitely, yep.
That you've been there and done that. We talk often in football. You mentioned about playing. Are you sore or hurt? The biggest thing we talk about in football, as far as the physical aspect, is are you hurt or are you injured? Because with football, from the first day of contact until a week after the season's over, you're going to be hurt. You're going to be sore. You're going to have aches and pains. But an injury is different. And that's when you got to kind of really. We always tell our players, you know your body best.
Definitely.
And no matter what I say, I think you're capable of, you have to listen to your own body.
Right.
On a personal note, Coach, with all the pains you have with your knees from probably baseball for many, many years, and your elbows possibly or whatever, would you do it again?
No, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. That's what's so nice about the miracle of medicine.
Yeah.
It's like, you get it
That
fixed
little
real
blue
quick.
pill he takes.
Yeah, right. Hope Christy's not watching. But no, the awesome thing about medicine is like you can go in there and clear it up, and you can be back to new pretty quick.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you don't come back too fast, and you do the physical therapy like you're supposed to.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that was I still love working out. I'm passionate about it. When I wake up in the morning, I feel like I'm 90 years old.
Well,
my neck, I'm close. My neck is always sore. My traps are sore. My shoulder, my knees. But I would do it all over in a heartbeat. Every single bit of it I would do over again because of the love for the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, like, after you get warmed up, you think you can do it again. And then you go
Yes.
do it again. You're like, oh, wake up
The recovery time is different.
Oh,
When
definitely.
you're a little bit older. So when we're talking about leading by example with physical fitness, what's one thing you do? I'm kind of setting them up here. We haven't talked about this. I know there's something I do, so I have an answer after you.
I don't know why you explain it. You do it every episode.
I do. I try not to throw them under the bus, but I try to catch them off guard a little bit. Is there something you do physically, whether it's an exercise you do or don't do that maybe you should, or something you put into your body or don't that you should, that you maybe shouldn't as far as your players seeing that?
No.
You're not a smoker or anything. We don't need
No.
those, drinking or whatever. I'm guilty of it with energy drinks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I do coffee. But coffee's
Coffee's fine. Coffee's an old person drink. You're
Yeah,
fine
this
with
is
that.
perfect.
The
It's
players
warm.
just know
Yeah,
you're
keep
old.
the joints warm.
For me, it's energy drinks, and I've cut back. I've cut back a lot, but as I think about leading by example, I'm guilty of it. I walk into our team meeting rooms, on game day at 4:00 when we do our final chalk talk before we hit the field, or all too often I have an energy drink in my hand.
And you probably don't even need it.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know why I waste the money. I don't know. Yeah, that's a whole other.
I would say I used to drink a lot of soda.
Okay.
I don't drink much anymore, maybe one a month,
Yep.
just to taste it.
Yep.
But I would say soda, and soda's so bad for you that sugar just turns into fat. That's probably why I got it all right now.
No, he's your
Yeah,
lying.
but yeah, soda would be not anymore, but used to. It would be soda.
Mine's energy drinks. One thing I did as back in New Hampshire, our conditioning test for our guys now is completely different. It's much better and improved, and we can talk about that on a different episode. But we used to run 110s. So we would have our skill guys have to run 16 110s
I remember those.
in intervals, and our big skills, our heavy guys, run them, same thing, 16 110s, but different time. So back in New Hampshire one year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to run these with you guys. And I was going to run all 16. So what I did was, I was like, you know what? It's the whole, work in silence, and that'll come to light in the light, under the light, so to speak. So I would train our guys in the summer. And then after they would go home, I would go to a different high school field. So no one would see me, and I would run the 110s. And I ran 4 one day, take a day off, 6 the next. Worked up to where I was running 16 to 18, 2 or 3 days a week, and I felt pretty good. I felt pretty good about myself, but I was running them alone. So when the first day doubles came, and I wasn't going to run with the skill guys because I knew I didn't stand a chance there. I was like, I played tight end in college. I'm going to run with the big skill. In tight end, you can fall into either category.
Yeah.
So I started running those.
That'd be a blocking tight end, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I started running those with the guys, and when you're running with players and you're trying to make sure they don't beat you, I didn't throw up. God, I came close. I came so close. And the players knew it. Some of the players were like, Coach, are you okay? I couldn't even talk. I'm like,
it had the oxygen on both sides of the...
We needed it.
Oh, yeah.
It was a mess. It was a mess. What do you think the kids, the young men and young women we coach, how important do you think it is to be physically fit?
I think it would be one of the top two.
Really?
Most important, yeah.
Right.
Be physically fit. Only because it prevents injury, number one.
Yep.
And I think the learning curve, especially if you play multiple sports, being physically fit, the learning curve, getting back into the sport, whether it's your main sport or another sport.
So you're talking about for the players?
For the players.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
That's what I thought you were asking.
No, my question was not clear enough. For players, definitely. What about for coaches? How important is it for coaches to be physically fit?
Definitely top 5. And I would say the reason is because...
That's why I was surprised. When you said top 2,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about coaches.
No,
like,
I
really?
thought you said players. But as far as coach, I think it's top 5. And the reason why I say this is because, like you were saying back, it's hard to respect a coach that yells at you and tells you to lift more weight when they're sitting there with a boiler.
Yes.
And there's going to be coaches that are really strong, have boilers, and probably do deadlifts like crazy and really strong.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the ones that are sitting there eating burritos. I know I love burritos too, but all the time.
Yeah.
And just the kids know when there's a coach in or out of shape.
Yes.
And I know when I ran some of the physical fitness stuff with the baseball team, I made sure I got in there and showed them that I did it.
Yes.
I did it too. A lot of kids was like, well, Coach, how'd you come up with this exercise? Well, I did it earlier today.
Yeah.
To make sure it worked and this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And the kids aren't stupid.
No.
If you have a coach in your staff, and I've been blessed with some coaches over the years, that back in New Hampshire, I had this coach, Coach Webster, who he shuffled everywhere. He was, I think, in his early 80s, and he forgot more football than I have ever known. Like this guy was just been around the block, tremendous man, husband, father, grandfather, great grandfather, but he was an amazing coach. But every coach on our staff and the players and parents knew that he wasn't running with the kids or working out with them because physically that's not what his strength was now. No pun intended.
Right.
The players know, like, if you're able to and you're just not doing it, it shows a little something.
Yeah.
And they want coaches, in my opinion, that are going to get dirty with them a little bit, and break a sweat once in a while. Not always. There's a time and place. Sometimes now I don't work out with them because you spend so much time teaching.
Right. Yeah.
But even with that, in the teaching of it, if you can get under a bar, and it doesn't have to be a lot of weight, but show them the proper technique.
Definitely. Especially kettlebell swings. I know how many times I'm sitting there showing the kids how to do kettlebell swings.
And you feel it the next day.
Oh, man, yeah.
You feel it.
Yeah. Give me that 10-pounder.
Yeah. What's one final thing you'd want to leave as far as a point or message on the topic of leading by example as far as fitness?
As far as fitness, I would say you don't have to be the number one guy every single time or girl. You don't have to cross that finish line every time if there's a competition. First place every time when you're working out with your team. You don't have to be the person lifting the most weight. You don't have to be the person, but you do need to be that person that shows up first.
Yes.
That works out and gives it 110%, even though you can't get down to 10%, 100% every single time where you're in there. Being able to teach, if you see someone doing, especially if you're a senior, you see some of the new freshmen coming here doing the lifts wrong or working out wrong, could really hurt themselves because a lot of those kids are still uncoordinated.
Yep.
Show them the right technique, especially if you're doing it and you're well versed in it and you're teaching. And number one, it helps your team out and it helps your coaches out too because maybe they can help someone else out or push someone else a little harder.
Yeah.
So, and then also watch your body and feed your body.
Yes, I think that's one of the biggest things. And as coaches, we preach all the time to our players, you got to fuel your body. And we talk to different body types. Those players that want or need to gain weight and those players that want to shed a little bit. We all know 80% of it comes from what we're putting into our body, and how we allow ourselves to recover as far as proper rest and recovery and sleep and all that. As far as a coach leading by example and doing what we can physically, it protects our longevity. If we're passionate about this game, we want to make sure that we can continue coaching and not have it tear down our body so much that we're cutting our lives short, legitimately. And I know, Saturday morning I wake up during the season. I don't know if it's 4 a.m. or whatever it is. It's early, but I'm exhausted. But you get up because you're passionate about it. And you keep going. And if we're not physically fit, when you get home to spend time with your wife and your kids and your family and friends, you're not going to be able to.
Right, and you're not going to be able to properly decompress from the whole thing, your mental state.
Yeah, that's important. It's important. So that's it for this episode. We typically want to keep these under a half an hour. We're at about 21 minutes now. So think of it as a player. You got to be physically fit. You want to see the field, see the court, whatever sport you play. As a coach, you want your players not just hearing the words you say, as Coach Tighe said, our actions speak louder than our words. We want them looking at us, and even if we're not in the shape we want to be in, knowing that we push ourselves, that we practice what we preach, and we challenge ourselves in a way that when we're pushing them, they're not in the back of their mind saying, yeah, I want to see you do this, knowing that even if we can't lift as much or run as fast, that we're still sweating with them and putting the work in.
Definitely.
So we want to wrap up with little shout outs to our sponsors. You want to go first?
Sure.
You have mine's exciting, but mine's been around for a while. You're a little bit newer.
I'm still practicing mine.
That's all right.
That's different. So we're sponsored by a firefighter-owned company called Muertos Coffee Company. They are owned and operated by the whole operations done by firefighters. And they are a great company, and pretty much they got started because they got sick of drinking crappy coffee at work. So what they did, they decided to go and make their own coffee, and it turned out to be really good coffee. But they didn't want to break the bank. So they decided to make it affordable for everyone and still give back to the community. So 5% of all the sales go back to the community. Down firefighters, first responders that get hurt, or community in need, much like what they did recently up in Vacaville, because we had a lot of fires out there recently. So they held a big fundraiser to help the community get back on its feet.
Is that the 5% just San Diego, or is that?
It's nationwide.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and when you do order, there's a drop-down menu, and you can decide who you want to give to. They have their own little fund, too, that you can put in, and they can help out and spread the wealth throughout the United States. Yeah, so it's a great coffee, and what you do is you go to Muertos Coffee Company, or Muertos Coffee Co. Mess it up again.
That's right.
MuertosCoffeeCo.com. So it's Muertos Coffee Company, but Co at the end. And you use code SDFD25 and you get an extra 15% off. And then still 5% goes back into assist first responders and their communities.
Outstanding. And when you're drinking your coffee, check out GameStrat.
Yes.
So for us, GameStrat is a instant replay company based out of Canada, but making their noise here in California and throughout the country. We started using them about 2.5 years ago, and it changed the game for us. Instead of waiting until Saturday morning to break down film with your players and show them how they can improve upon a certain situation or play, it's instantaneous feedback. We have the sideline camera now and the end zone camera, so we're seeing from all different angles how to up our game. It improves the players' performance, and as coaches, it's helping us get better as well. So check them out. And as usual, that's it.
That's it.
We're going to end with, what do we got?
I do the end. Or do you do the end?
Well, we'll both do it. I'll
Take
start.
Take it for what it's worth.
Stay strong.
Have a good one.